Hello, everyone. How's everybody's morning doing? I have a large glare in this room for sun, so it's sometimes I'm a little glitchy. I be trying to get away from the big old light. So we're going to get into this video. As you guys probably already know, Donald Trump has signed the bill. But listen, if you all think that Donald Trump is going to release those files, you got another thing coming. We sort of kind of got into this yesterday where we looked into or watched video of Pam Bondi basically not even answering the questions. For what we've learned is after this bill is signed, there's about 30 days that these files have to be released. But it seems like they are going to say they have a open investigation and therefore cannot release the files. Now, this is what all illegal analysts are saying. And guess what? I believe it. But what we do know is that Donald Trump has, in fact, signed into law, to be able to actually release these files. But as I just stated, what they're saying is more than likely going to happen is that it's not going to happen because of course Pam Bondi is going to say there's a open investigation, and due to this open investigation we're not going to be able to release these files.
As we come on the air tonight, because President Trump has now signed the Epstein files bill into law, the final step to force the Justice Department to turn over everything it has on Epstein within the next 30 days. Part of the president's lengthy statement, I'll read it here, where he said, quote, Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, with an exclamation point, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures. The president goes on to write, perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. Trump says, as everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and the Senate. That, of course, came after he fought the bill, but he concluded with, this latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats just as all of the rest have. Thank you all for your attention to this matter. Of course, this is the bill that the president spent months trying to kill. He is now taking credit for its passage on Capitol Hill after it became clear that it was going to pass at least the House. While it's a moment that so many of Jeffrey Epstein's survivors that you've heard from here on this show have waited so long for, it is notable the president did not mention the women who fought for this bill's passage in his post tonight. The fact also that the president didn't take the opportunity to sign it today before cameras is notable, given how many bill signings and executive orders he has regularly turned into lengthy Oval Office events and press conferences. We did hear from the Attorney General on this matter earlier. Pam Bondi was asked multiple times how her department plans to handle this process of turning over these materials to Congress, given the massive amount of data on Epstein that the Justice Department has.
Does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency.
What are you doing here over the next 30 days as we understand it?
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
When you say follow the law, Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law.
Y'all pay attention to that verbiage. She was asked, is she going to release the files? It's a simple yes or a simple no. This is what y'all got to pay attention to. She's asked, are you going to release these files? Tell me if she say yes. But she just goes around and say, we gonna follow the law. Well, from what we have saw is the law has now demanded that you release the files. They're going to say there's an open investigation into the Epstein files. We're looking at Democrats. And because of this ongoing investigation, unfortunately, folks, the law says that we cannot release these files. Watch and see, don't this happen?
Past both
Rewind
chambers.
it.
Mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Now, Attorney General Bondi declined to give any explanation on how the plan to follow the law is any different from what the department has been doing already, especially given it was just 2 months ago when the FBI director told Congress this about those same Epstein files in their possession.
We have released where President Trump's name's in the Epstein files and everybody else, and all credible information that we are legally allowed to release has been released. Pursuant to Mr. Acosta's collection of information based on the search warrants. That's all we have in our possession.
And I'm asking you, that stuff.
That's all we got. We are releasing as much as legally allowed. We are providing everything we can legally provide.
The Attorney General did try to explain why, just months after her department declared that there was no evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. She announced those very investigations that President Trump demanded last week.
What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information that new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads.
That would seem to differ from what the president has been saying over the course of the last few months, as his team has been trying to make the entire Epstein saga go away.
It's really a Democrat hoax. It's a Democrat hoax. It's just a hoax. The whole Epstein thing is a Democrat hoax.
It's a Democrat hoax. We gonna release the files. We gonna follow the law. Are these people on some type of drugs? Like, I'm confused. You see how their feathers are rattled? Like, they can't even cohesively come up with a story that they all stick to. They like all over the place. It's like when you catch a person red-handed and they can't come up with the lie fast enough. They just start making up stuff.
I call it the Epstein hoax. I don't understand.
The Epstein hoax. They're releasing files, right? For a hoax. So how could you release the files? Because this is a hoax. Make this make sense.
Hoax. I call it the Epstein hoax.
I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring.
The whiplash over Trump, Bondi, and Patel's hyping and then downplaying and then hyping again the Epstein investigations is even being felt by some of the president's biggest supporters in MAGA.
I heard it's a hoax. And then all of a sudden he's going to release the files. Well, I thought there was no files.
Man.
He wants an investigation now.
Listen.
Like, what is going on?
This is the end of the Trump administration. This is the beginning of the lame duck presidency. It's obvious to everyone he will trail off. He will get older. He's adorned the White House in gold. Epstein's going to suck the oxygen out of a lot of this.
I want to start tonight with CNN's senior justice correspondent, Evan Perez, who is among those questioning the attorney general today. And Evan, I think she said multiple times they're going to follow the law. What stood out to you being inside that room today with Pam Bondi?
I think the whiplash that they are feeling in that building, because they really have stuck their necks out to try to defend the president in the sense that, they've gone out and they said, there's nothing to see here. We've closed the books. And then they were trying to persuade members of Congress. You reported this, right? Lauren Boebert and among others.
To strong-arm them.
Yes, that's another way to say it. But certainly they were there to persuade them to say, look, if there's stuff you want to see and for us to brief you on, we're here to do that. And then, the president goes out and says, we want a new I wanted another investigation. And they do that. And then he sort of pulls the rug from out of under them on Sunday by saying, okay, now vote for this bill that he was using the Justice Department all along to try to fight. So they are feeling the whiplash, and now they're kind of left in a very difficult place. Pam Bondi is now, obviously there is an investigation, and so she has to navigate how to release documents within those 30 days that they're going to comply with the law, but also satisfy the rules that are, you cannot release documents that may be relevant to an ongoing investigation.
Well, and so the president signed it.
They cannot release documents that's relevant to an investigation. Do y'all see how they playing games? This is why she's not telling you all that she's going to release them. She continues to say, we're going to follow the law, because what the law does say, if it's an open investigation, you don't have to release those files. So Donald Trump signed this bill because they have already agreed that this is what they're going to use to say, hey, we can't release them now because now we have an open investigation.
Today, 30 days from today would be December 18th. And so do we have any idea what the Justice Department's game plan is in terms of what they're going to release if they have more than 300 gigabytes of data and material?
Well, one of the things that we know is that some of the documents have already been redacted. So for instance, to remove the names of victims, anything that would harm victims has already been done. The big question is, can they release documents related to some of the uncharged people who associated with Epstein, but who are not accused of any wrongdoing? There is a law that is supposed to protect their privacy, and so that's kind of the big difference here. Some of the documents, the kind of things that you saw this week that were released by the Democrats, right? And obviously Larry Summers is an example of what happens. Those people still associated with Epstein, even though he had been convicted in Florida, continued to communicate with him. They're not accused of any wrongdoing. And so now all of those communications, I think, are fair game to be released.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I think Mike Johnson was one of the leading voices saying that other people could get swept up in this, potentially just be embarrassed by this. I mean, Larry Summers, it's reporting tonight, he's not going to be teaching at Harvard anymore while he's under investigation. That's according to the Harvard Crimson. But I mean, that is exactly what the president is pointing to in his very lengthy post tonight, as he's saying, this is going to be way worse for Larry Summers and for Democrats than for me. I mean, he seems to want that information to come out.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't know, because there are going to be mentions of President Trump in these additional documents. We know that is actually one of the problems here for him. And but the issue is, are there other people who, again, have not been credibly accused of any wrongdoing, and do their lives get upended in that? And you could argue, right, that if you knew he was a convicted sex offender and you continued to associate with him, then what happens, you knew what was going to happen eventually.
Yeah. Evan Perez, thank you for that reporting.
And in all honesty, guys, this is pretty much what this is all about. Jeffrey Epstein is no longer here. I mean, he's gone. I mean, 6 feet under, right? So the issue here is people don't want to live in their truth, because, hey, if you associated with a person like that, for whatever reason you associated with that person, or whatever that reason was, you don't want your name out in whatever this is going to come out in this information, because it looks bad. But in all honesty, if this is who you are and this is your truth, I would say just live in it. This is no longer about protecting a man that is no longer here. This is about protecting the rich whiteys that continue to hang out and to do business with Jeffrey Epstein, knowing the type of scumbag that he was. And people are saying that, Donald Trump is protecting, these people. From what I know of Donald Trump is protecting himself. I don't know to what magnitude Donald Trump is in these files, but if we all know the same Donald Trump protects himself. So I don't know exactly what is in there that is going to make him look so bad. But word on the street is Donnie is protecting himself.
Jerry and Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Katie. Great to be on with you again.
You said that you do not believe these files will ultimately be released. Why not?
Well, Donald Trump a year ago ran for president on lowering everyone's costs, making America healthy again, and promptly releasing the Epstein files. How's he doing on those promises? He has done everything he possibly could to resist releasing the Epstein files, including dragging over to the Situation Room and muscling a Republican House member who was one of the keys to actually finally getting the vote moving in the House. So even though President Trump has now finally, at long last, said he supports releasing the Epstein files, I don't believe him. And I'm concerned that the Attorney General will say that this new investigation that she just announced after being prompted to by the president on Truth Social will prevent the release of these files. It is long past time for the victims of the sexual assault by Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and others to have their concerns put at the front and to have transparency about how the rich and powerful abused young girls for years and were able to get away with it. Almost every member of Congress has voted in favor of releasing these files. The administration should follow that law.
Is there any recourse to demand more if they start to stonewall and claim investigations?
Well, look, bluntly, the fact that every member of the Senate has voted for this and every member of the House except one means that we all recognize that this is a shameful chapter in American history, and there should be real pushback from Democrats and Republicans in the House and Senate to push for the full release of these files. Files that are held by the Epstein estate, by the Department of Justice, and the Department of Treasury. We need to insist that they all be released and promptly, and that's going to require follow-up, oversight, and engagement by the relevant committees here in Congress.
There have been lots of names that we've so far learned about in the Epstein files. Some of them are Democrats. What's your response?
Look, there ought to be transparency and accountability for what Epstein was able to get away with for years. I don't care about the party affiliation of those who will be named or exposed or embarrassed in these files.
Let me ask you about whistleblowers. There is some reporting that there is a whistleblower, NBC News is reporting, who provided the House with documents related to Ghislaine Maxwell and the move that she made. And the whistleblower says that she was fired after this on November 10th, after Jamie Raskin wrote a letter to Trump about a whistleblower. What exactly can you ascertain is going on here?
So that's not something I knew about before this moment. One thing that Senator Grassley, who's the Republican chairman of the Judiciary Committee here in the Senate, has long prided himself on, regardless which party's in power, is protecting and defending whistleblowers. I'll take this to Senator Grassley today and see what he's willing to do to stand up to the president. He's withstood President Trump's pressure on him to end the filibuster, to end the blue slip, and I hope he won't abandon his long tradition of standing up for whistleblowers as well.
Let me ask you about work you do on foreign relations. Donald Trump might have a plan to end the war in Ukraine. This is according to reporting from Axios. It is a 20-point plan, and they fall into 4 general buckets: peace in Ukraine, security guarantees, security in Europe, future U.S. relations with Russia and Ukraine. Have you heard anything about this? Have you been looped in?
I have not heard anything about these plans from the administration. In talking to both Democrat and Republican colleagues on the Hill today, neither have they. But the early press accounts about what may be in this secret peace deal that was negotiated between the Trump administration and Putin's government in Russia, with no involvement by Ukraine or the Europeans, who are now bearing most of the brunt of providing weapons to Ukraine, suggests this isn't peace through strength. This is surrender. This deal, from its initial outlines, would be a complete capitulation by giving Putin all he wants, ending U.S. active support, military and intelligence support for Ukraine's defense, demanding that Ukraine cut its military in half, giving Russia control, even possibly sovereignty, over the Donbass. That means handing Putin everything he wanted from this war. This would be seen as a complete surrender by the United States to the brutal, aggressive demands of an authoritarian, Vladimir Putin, rather than standing for freedom and fighting for a country, Ukraine, which has fought so bravely for years. My hope is that if that is in fact what this deal proves to be, that we will see strong pushback from Democrats and Republicans in the House and Senate who have long said that we stand with Ukraine in their fight against Russia.
I'm confused about the Russian aspect of this, because Donald Trump has really gone back and forth on Russia, on Vladimir Putin, threatening and then not threatening, saying that they're close to a peace deal and then admitting that they're not at all, that Vladimir Putin doesn't want this. Does Vladimir Putin want any sort of deal that does not include all of Ukraine?
Vladimir Putin wants a deal that will allow him to absorb and hang on to all the territory that he and his troops have conquered in their brutal war of conquest, and that leaves Ukraine weak enough and without security guarantees strong enough that he can renew his war of aggression in a few short years and take all of Ukraine. So the short answer to your question, Katie, is yes. Vladimir Putin is only going to sign a peace deal if he ends up getting what he wants, which is not an independent, democratic, sovereign Ukraine. He wants to control all of Ukraine. And for the entire time that Trump has been president, I've said publicly and privately over and over, peace through strength here means showing real strength, standing up to Putin's aggression, supporting and arming Ukraine so that they can continue their brave fight for freedom. That's got broad support among our European allies and partners, among members of Congress, and frankly, among the American people who don't want to see us hand over this country that has lost thousands and thousands of its frontline troops, that has had millions displaced, and that has seen the worst of what Russian brutality can mean. Russian troops have kidnapped children, have assaulted and brutalized civilians, have devastated the parts of Ukraine that they've occupied. They should not be rewarded for this aggression. And if this actually is what the Trump administration signs off on, shame on them. It will profoundly weaken our nation.
Senator, I want to bring you back to the first administration. We all know what happened regarding the call that the president made with Vladimir Zelensky back during the first administration. It led to his first impeachment. But Eugene Vidman stood on the floor of the House and said that there is a lot more to investigate with Donald Trump's calls. It's not just the call to Ukraine, he says. It was a call to Saudi Arabia and MBS. He didn't say what was bad about this call, but he did say that it would be shocking. And he's looping in the dismemberment of 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜𝐫𝐢. Is there a way to get a transcript of that call? Would a congressional subpoena get a transcript? Why would Eugene Vidman not be able to detail the call, which, by the way, he heard because he was deputy legal advisor for the NSC during that time? Why would he not be able to relay the details?
Katie, that's a great question. This is the first I'm hearing of that as well. My hunch is that it was classified, or that there's been some assertion of sort of executive privilege by the Trump administration. But I don't know, and I'll look into that. I'll talk to Congressman Vindman, and I'm happy to come on and speak to it. The larger point is that the relationship between President Trump and the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is disturbingly rooted in financial interests for President Trump and his immediate family. President Trump rolled out the red carpet, had everything but a state dinner last night, a black tie soiree, celebrating a deep partnership with the Saudi kingdom. And there's press accounts and reporting today about how he and his immediate family stand to benefit massively from economic deals, from business deals, from resorts and development, and from partnerships and everything from crypto to AI. The amount of public corruption that we are seeing from this administration is unprecedented in our history. They're doing it right out in the open. The first time he ran for president, Donald Trump promised to drain the swamp. Now he's swimming in it.
Senator Chris Coons, thank you very much.
The amount of corruption is right in our face. And I have to admit it. It's like people are allowing this to happen and acting as if nothing is going on. It's really a story, that's being told just how evil people really are. We live in a very evil, corrupt world. Now, I came across a video where another YouTube commentator was commenting on this entire Epstein situation. And this is when I came to the conclusion that we simply live in an evil world with evil ass people. So let's get into the comments of Miss Megyn Kelly. All right, y'all. Wait, what's going on? It's muted. Okay, wait a minute. I don't know what just happened here. Why is it muted? All right, y'all. What's going on? All right, give me a second here. Let me bring something up really quick, and then we can get back to that. So I'm not sure what's wrong with that clip. Okay, so in this clip, I'll bring it back up later. I'm not sure what's going on with it. Megyn Kelly makes some very controversial comments about children, which is disgusting. But we're going to bring that clip back up. Let's keep this show going. One of the reasons why we have to really be on our toes with this administration and really watch them is simply the statements and what they say. They've been telling us for a long time that they are corrupt. This is a corrupt administration. Donald Trump is only in office to steal and to make his own companies blossom. We know Donald Trump is a man that has filed bankruptcy more times than we've been alive. But in this very statement, Pam Bondi does not give a straight answer as to, girl, when are you going to release them damn files?
But this is $1 billion a year of drugs that he is charged with being responsible for. $1 billion. Go ahead, now off topic.
On the Epstein files, does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
What are the next steps, Madam Attorney General, for the DOJ regarding what we assume President Trump will sign into law with the Epstein files? Is this going to be on the Justice Department website? What are you doing here over the next 30 days as we understand it?
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
When you say follow the law, Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency.
Thank you. Somebody put this in the chat, and I'm going to put this on the screen really fast. The chat is going fast. We will follow the law. Means we will use the laws to block it. That's all I'm saying. Her consistently telling y'all we're going to follow the law because she done already told y'all she was going to release this shit months ago and we don't have it. And all they doing is playing those clips where she said she was going to release it. So what she's saying is she's going to follow the law. So when everybody say why you're not releasing the file, she's going to say, we're following the law. Y'all got to read between the lines. That's exactly what she's saying. Y'all not getting no Epstein files.
See, under the law.
Waiting, Madam.
that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What new information? And would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about? Or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. But you're on point. Hard stop. One more question? Sure.
President Trump has previously said that he may consider authorizing military strikes within Mexico to go after cartels. Given the importance of this case, I'm wondering if the DOJ is on search for Ryan.
Yeah, we're not going to discuss anything with the Department of War right now, but right now I will tell you it is the Treasury Department, the State Department, our office, the FBI, working with Canadian authorities and working with the Mexican authorities hand in hand. And that includes the Mexican military. You had one more on wedding?
Yes, please.
Sure.
CBC, you mentioned a Canadian lawyer. If you can tell us more about it, the extradition of a Canadian lawyer. And also a question for Commissioner Michael Duhem on 7 other individuals who are linked to Ryan Wedding. If you can tell us on the extradition, what are the next steps?
Sure. Do you want to take the Canadian? I think Bill will take the attorney because that attorney is being prosecuted in California, and then I'll turn it over to Director Duhem.
Look, she got her tail off of there because she couldn't take it. Too many questions. I don't know how you can just lie like that. Like, listen, I would just be like saying, like, they would know that I was lying because, honey, I wouldn't be able to lie. Not like that.
Yeah, the attorney he's named in the indictment that was unsealed.
And also, with all of this that they're coming out telling us, oh, you know, we're investigating this cartel. Go sit the hell down. We need the Epstein files. We don't give a damn about this cartel or whatever the hell y'all talking about. These people are absolute lunatics. They provide you no picture. Who are they even talking about? Like, they come out and do this elaborate press conference and we don't even know who you're talking about. Generally, if you're going to do a press conference, at least give us a picture or something. You're just talking. Well, I got the video here working that I wanted to show you all. Now, what we have learned, you know, with these people is one thing they're going to do is protect people that do wrong stuff.
Know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything, not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like, he liked 15-year-old girls.
What? Wait a minute. What? He was into the barely legal type. Is that a new kind of terminology that only weirdos use? What is the barely legal type? I mean, you are either a minor or you are an adult. What's the barely legal? I don't know what that is. That's weird. This is what I'm talking about. This type of behavior. He was into the barely legal. I got to rewind this. This is really uncomfortable.
Person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile.
He wasn't a pedophile? Okay, I think I understand what you're saying. He wasn't a pedophile because he liked the barely legal? Okay, I don't know, y'all. This is too much.
This is this person's view, who was there for a lot.
This is too
I
much.
do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything, not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like, he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts.
Can somebody help me out in the chat? What the hell did this woman just say? How do you fix your lips, mouth to say this stuff that just seems crazy? He wasn't a pedo, but he was into the barely legal? Ma'am, what the hell are you talking about? Like, are you making an exception for these kinds of people? Because I don't know what the hell you just said.
That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds. but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were.
Oh my gosh, I wish I wouldn't have never listened to this. This is even getting worse. She went to the barely legal, to the teen. Aren't these all minors? I mean, barely legal, the teen. I mean, can somebody help me out? Like, what are we listening to?
But would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn. Now they call it child sexual abuse material on his.
Wait a minute. Did she just say kitty P? What the hell? So this is what I'm trying to say, y'all. These are the type of people that support Donald Trump. Tell me, how do you make a justification for a monster like Jeffrey Epstein to say he wasn't a P, he didn't do these things? Lady, he was convicted of it. They're victims. He had an accomplice. What the hell is this woman saying? This is what the Trump supporters do.
Computer that for the first time I thought, I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14.
What? Oh my God. Oh. This is too much. What did she just say? We have yet to see somebody that was under 10 or 14. What is this lady talking about? So are we going to say, y'all, this is sick. This is all I can say about this. These are the Trump supporters. This is how they act. This is the type of behavior they have. Who says this type of stuff? This is disgusting. What is this woman talking about? So she's making justifications for evil people that do really bad things to children. Justification after justification after justification. This is what MAGA does. Justify things like this.
When I first came within his purview, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference between.
Look at the MAGA weirdos in the comments saying she's not making excuses. You people need to get your heads examined. You are nuts. I'm going to rewind it. I'm going to rewind it for the MAGA people because I know you're slow and stupid.
Somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything, not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts.
Somebody wrote a comment, and I don't even pay attention to the comments, but somebody said, look how many people are against you. Let me just tell you a little bit about me. I am a leader. I don't follow nobody, okay? So you pedos follow each other, okay? This is who you are. Do you think I need you to justify what I say and you crazy as hell? You are going against a child to justify if the child was 10 or 12 or were they almost legal? You are weird. Let's rewind it for the mega pedos.
Virtually everything, not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls.
MAGA weirdos. He's not a bad person because he likes the barely legal. I mean, they not 9 or 10, they 13. A MAGA weirdo.
Girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you.
Oh, that's what the MAGA say. I'm not making an excuse. Oh, you are definitely making an excuse because you are a part of that weird culture. Hopefully we don't see Megyn Kelly's name in there, but you people are weird and you are evil to make justification for somebody that is harming somebody underage to say, oh, well, this person was 15. It ain't like they was 10. You are definitely weird.
Facts that he wasn't into like 8-year-olds.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, because they were not 8 and they were 13, it's not that bad. It ain't that bad, right, MAGA? MAGA, it ain't that bad, right? Because they wasn't 8, they was 13. You sick.
But he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think I got it. She's saying it's okay because they were 14 and not 10. Sick. Watch your kids. As a matter of fact, hide your kids.
But would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn. Now they call it child sexual.
Who in the world? Listen, and I'm the big 50. I'm 50. I know I look good because I don't do drugs. I don't drink. So I know I look good. But anywho, in 50 years, I had never heard of a kiddie porn. What is that? I've never in my life heard of this. So you guys, you MAGA people have terminology for your weirdness. Kiddie P? I've never in my life heard of that. So what I'm learning is you MAGA people are sick. You are disgusting. And you watch Kid P? I never even knew that was a thing. Watch your children. Hide your children. Be careful of who you have around your children. These people are sick. Not only are they sick, they are mentally making excuses as if what they heard wasn't really what they heard, because peas protect peas.
Sexual abuse material on his computer that for the first time I thought, I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10.
Well, Megyn Kelly says Jeffrey Epstein didn't do anything because, you know, nobody really came out and said they were under 8. So the 14-year-olds and the 15-year-olds and the 16-year-olds that he harmed, well, Megyn says, well, so what? They were not 8. This is disgusting, y'all. This is why we have the 34-time felon in the White House. Now, if Donald Trump had been black, there would be no damn way that he would be where he is today. This is white people supporting this type of BS. Because guess what? Us black people, we don't support it. We wouldn't even support it if it was a black person. We just don't support this type of foolishness. But this is what they support. It's okay that this white man did these horrible things to children because he got a lot of money and he's white. So we're going to protect him.
I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. Yeah. You know, it's just whatever.
I'm sorry.
I do know something.
There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. MAGAs are low educated. A lot of them receive public assistance. They're dumb. I mean, I can bring the video where Donald Trump says he loves the uneducated. Why do you think Donald Trump loves the uneducated? Because people with sense wouldn't follow him. Come on now. He loves the uneducated. He likes stupid. Donald Trump loves a stupid individual. That's why the MAGA supports Donald Trump, because they don't have it up here. You know, they're slow. They're low educational, high school dropouts, things of that nature. Okay. Anybody that supports somebody that does stuff to children, you are sick. You are a sick individual. You are very, very sick. Now, the fact that the American people are getting sick of Trump, even his entire MAGA base is falling to shit. MAGA is dying. We don't gotta do it, but y'all, MAGA is dying because the world knows that you are disgusting individuals. MAGA Peas, that's your new name. MAGA Peas. Where are the MAGA Peas in the chat? Are you here? The MAGA Peas? How about we call you Maggot Peas? Well, the American people are sick of Donald Trump. They're sick of Donald Trump. He's losing support. Even the low education, no MAGA people are even sick of Donald Trump. Even you guys with the low education, the high school dropouts, you barely can read or write. You've been receiving public assistance your whole entire life. Even y'all getting sick of them. What are the American people saying?
Come knocking on the door of the Oval Office now that the bill to release all files related to the criminal case of Donald Trump's former friend, the dead sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, has passed with near unanimous support from Congress. All that's left is Donald Trump's signature. Once the bill is signed, Team Trump will be stuck in a trap largely of their own making. The administration could have fulfilled a campaign pledge and released all the files months ago. Remember this?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that.
But now, after months of stonewalling, the Trump administration is bound by law, a law just passed by Congress to release all of the Epstein files. And frankly, the world is watching to see if there's any chance they comply. Here's what Attorney General Pam Bondi had to say when she was asked if the investigation Trump ordered into Democrats will be an excuse to stop the release.
On the Epstein files, does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
Following the law and maximum transparency when it comes to the Epstein files, public isn't buying it. Those are two things this Department of Justice is not known for, even among Republicans. Again, if Pam Bondi wanted transparency when it comes to the Epstein material, she could have released the files instead of publishing an unsigned memo that said she wasn't gonna, that sought to sweep the whole thing under the rug. Comments like her comments today, though, are part of a pattern by Team Trump that suggests anything but maximum transparency, from that unsigned memo back in July to the shifting explanations for why Epstein and Trump had a falling out.
And this is why I continue to say the MAGA people are dumb as hell. You're uneducated. Most of you receive public assistance. Hopefully you got your card so you can now go out and get your food so you can put some nutrition in your body so you won't be so dumb. You continue to say the same stuff over and over. Now we live in a world where everything is on social media. You keep saying Biden didn't release the files. I know you're dumb, you're slow, you're uneducated. You're probably a high school dropout, or maybe you went to one of those schools where you got your degree offline. Biden, the previous administration, you should already know that there was an open investigation, but you're so stupid and you protect this kind of behavior that you make excuses over and over again. Let's just say The previous administration didn't do what they were supposed to do. At this point, it's still about the victims. And guess what? I don't care if the people on the files is Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. If you assisted in harming any child, you need to be in jail. But the issue with you weirded out MAGA people, you MAGA P's, is that you don't think like that. You would protect anybody that hurts a child just so you can say, oh, it was the Democrats. We don't really care what party the person or the perpetrators is from. I don't know who did what. It doesn't matter. But you guys are such perverts that is the way that you think. Please go to some online school, get you some education. If you can't read, now they actually have apps that can read the stuff to you. This is why I say you MAGAs are dumb. You're not educated. You got your food stamps. Go put it on your card. Go and get you some food now. I know you've been hungry for a while, so that you can put some nutrition into your body so you can stop sounding stupid.
To the preferential treatment the Trump administration has given to Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. On that front, NBC News has some new reporting that the Bureau of Prisons has fired the whistleblower who alleged to House Democrats that Maxwell was getting, quote, VIP treatment, as Congressman Jamie Raskin describes it. From that new reporting, quote.
And Nick, you are probably as educated as my dog. In fact, my dog is more educated than you because you can't even spell. You can't spell basic words like stupid. You spell stupid, S-T-U-P-I-T. You are exactly what you put in the chat. Shut up before I block you.
A whistleblower who came forward to House Democrats alleging convicted sex offender Ghislaine Maxwell received preferential treatment at a federal prison camp in Texas says she was not motivated by politics. Instead, quote, this was about common human decency and doing what's right for all inmates. That was Noella Turnage, a nurse who worked at the federal prison camp Bryan since 2019. She said that the Federal Bureau of Prisons fired her on November 10th. The decision came one day after the top Democrat on the committee, Congressman Jamie Raskin, wrote a letter to President Donald Trump saying they had received information from a whistleblower indicating Maxwell was working on filing a commutation application and receiving special treatment not typically afforded to inmates at Bryan. A brand new chapter in the push for transparency around the Epstein case is where we start today. Joining us, Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia of California. He's the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. He has been pivotal in the push for the release of the Epstein files. Did you think 72 hours ago that the vote to release the files would be near unanimous in the House and the Senate?
I did not. I mean, look, we were hoping that we could get maybe first 12 to 20 Republicans just a week ago. Then it became clear that we might get up to 100 Republicans just a few days ago. And then, of course, with Trump's complete panic when he knew he was going to lose the vote in a spectacular way, only then did we, of course, see the Speaker and others chime in where the vote became essentially unanimous. And the action, of course, of the Senate. This is a huge win for transparency, for the American public, for good government, but most importantly, this is a win for the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, who have been demanding action now for years. And so it's a good day for this country, but there is a lot of work ahead of us in the future.
Let me center our conversation then around the victims. Here is an Epstein survivor talking about something that people don't always remember that they hold, and that is the power to name names if they choose to. Let me play that for you.
Let me ask you something else, because again, it's much bigger than a couple of people. Were you trafficked to other people?
You can say yes, but you don't have to name names.
You only share what
Sorry.
you want to share. You don't have to be sorry for anything. And I'm asking you this because I think it's important to understand, as people do understand about Virginia's story, that it's not about just one person or two people. It's much bigger than that. You can share whatever you want to share.
Terrible things had happened to me within my time with dealing with Jeffrey Epstein. I had encounters with people that I would rather not have.
I think there's a lot of people that just want them to release the names. They're like, well, you have the names, just do it. The problem with that is that these rich and powerful men they can sue you into homelessness, would be a big part of it, but B, it puts serious threat on your life and your family's life. There were times where my sister was sitting across people and they would push a picture of her own children in front of her and essentially say, I know where your kids go to school.
I know where your kids go to school. This is what the victims are dealing with right now.
That's right. And Nicole, I've spent some time talking to some of these survivors one-on-one whenever I can. I do that. I just did so a few days ago with another survivor. And one of the stories that she shared was about her sensing and knowing that she was being watched and that her home was being essentially watched and followed, and that she really feared the safety for herself and her family. So you can only imagine when some of the most powerful men in the country with unlimited resources and unlimited connections to the highest levels of government, what that feels like to be surviving, to know the trauma you've been through, but want to just protect your family, yourself, and your friends. And so we have to allow these survivors to tell their story on their time. But rest assured, the Oversight Committee and certainly Democrats on that committee, we are taking great care in our conversations with these survivors, and they're providing us very important information that we're very grateful for.
Who's watching them?
The question, who's following them?
Who's following them? Yeah. I mean, is it a government official or a private person's?
I'm not going to, I think that oftentimes they're not sure. And, I'm not going to speak for all of them. In the conversations that I have had, I know of two survivors that directly told me that they certainly felt that they were being watched in the past, and that there was some type of surveillance happening that they felt to themselves and their family. And that's very serious. And so that's something that we take very seriously, and their protection and their safety in this moment is incredibly important to us. And we know that right now, Donald Trump has the power to release the files. He didn't need the vote in the Congress. He didn't need the subpoena the Oversight Committee Democrats placed on the files. Yet he continues to deny justice and closure and some sense of being able to move forward for these women and their families. And so this is an important moment right now where there's progress being made, but there's a lot of work ahead of us on the financial documents, on ensuring the files are released by the DOJ, on Pam Bondi being held accountable for her actions. And those are things you're going to hear a lot about in the coming days. If Donald Trump and the White House thinks that we're slowing down or this is over, they are mistaken. We are actually just beginning this work.
What does it even mean that Trump has ordered an investigation into Democrats? If you're investigating the deceased sex offender, don't you start with the known criminals, Epstein and Maxwell, and follow the facts? I mean, what do you understand the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, to have undertaken? An investigation whose ends are known, or an actual fact-driven investigation?
So, Nicole, this is a really good question. I want to actually make something really clear. I've heard some discussion on your network and others about the difference between, for example, the discharge petition that Congress voted on almost unanimously, and the subpoena that's in place, that the Oversight Committee put in place. They both ask for the same things, which are full release of the documents. Pam Bondi, in the clip you showed earlier, said, well, we've already released 33,000 documents. That's because Oversight Democrats force a subpoena that's currently still in place for all of the documents, and she was responding to that subpoena. Now, we know that those documents were essentially already available to the public. So it was just a smokescreen. But that was a response to our subpoena. The discharge petition and the law in front of the president is another way of getting the documents. But here's where this investigation you're discussing is important. We know that that is a sham investigation. We believe it's being set up because in the law that was passed in the 𝐸𝐻𝐻 and Massey bill, there is a provision in there that essentially speaks to that the Department of Justice is able to possibly withhold some materials if there is an ongoing federal investigation. This has been discussed at length. And so folks are worried, is Pam Bondi, is Donald Trump, are they launching an investigation, particularly this one against Democrats, to use it as a way to stop the release of the files and of this bill? And that is a critical concern. What has not been discussed in the last few days, and we've been focused on this bill, I want to remind the Attorney General and the public that our subpoena does not have that language. And so if the Attorney General wants to use her sham investigation in the Southern District of New York to withhold evidence and documents on the bill that the president will hopefully just about to sign, she can't do the same for our subpoena. She is still legally obligated, regardless of any investigation, to produce every single document, photo, video, or material that she has in her possession of the DOJ to the Oversight Committee. That's something that we have not talked about a lot in the last few days because our focus is on this bill. But you can believe that in the next few days and weeks ahead, we're going to remind the DOJ that her investigation she might try to use to stop the effort in the full House, she can't use that to stop the effort we have in the Oversight Committee.
Well, I guess we're going to see how that goes because we know we're dealing with some unethical people. Now, some of y'all well, I won't say some of y'all. I happen to see a message where somebody put in there, and this is, why I say what I say, because it seems like people, and I don't give a damn if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you choose, what party you want to serve. I'm really independent. I decide what I want to do depending on who the candidate is, and I would die before I vote for Donald Trump. But somebody said Democrats are disrespectful, and I'm like, huh? Where do you get that from? Because every time we turn around, Donald Trump is disrespecting not even everybody. Like, he disrespects women all in their faces. Let's get into this one where he called the lady Miss Piggy because he doesn't want to talk about his brother, Jeffrey Epstein.
A tense exchange that President Trump had with the press aboard Air Force One is now going viral. It stems from the words that he chose to try to get a female reporter to stop asking questions about the Epstein files. Here's the clip.
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead. Incriminating in the files,
Quiet, Piggy. What? Is this a grown elderly man? What? Tell me what part, like what? Quiet, Piggy. This is the ignorant, like, how do you respect somebody like this? She's a reporter. She's asking questions and you say, quiet, Piggy. This man is ignorant.
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead. Incriminating in the files,
Quiet, Piggy. This is who y'all elected. This is an embarrassment. Like, this is so, like, a kindergartner can conduct themselves better than this. Quiet, Piggy. Can somebody, like, translate what the hell that means? This dude is stupid. Quiet, Piggy. This is how he speaks not only to women, but some of these people actually voted for this creep.
To stop asking questions about the Epstein files. Here's the clip.
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead. Incriminating in the files,
Quiet, Piggy. What a disgrace. Just totally, I don't even know what to say behind that. This is just ignorant. The only person or people who would support this is a stupid person who's uneducated. You got to be a public assistance recipient. You don't have nothing going on in your life. You are miserable because guess what? I don't know who this reporter is, but it would make me feel some kind of way to see a president of the United States conducting themselves like this. This is what children say, not an old grandpa, elderly man who was elected to be the president of the United States. Oh, and it don't get no better, because you people think that Donald Trump is such a great president. Well, if he's such a great president, what's happening to the job market? Why y'all can't find no job? The unemployment rate is high as it's ever been. And in fact, when the government was shut down, they said they are not even releasing the report because Donald Trump, all he does is lie. He don't want to tell y'all the truth. So you voted for a man that can't stabilize a what am I trying to say? So he got all these people fired. He's effed up the labor market. You idiots that support Trump can't even find jobs. So the only thing y'all doing is, I guess you got your food stamps, right? Hopefully you did. So you are applying for public assistance. You can't get a job. You broke. That's why you in the chat saying dumb shit, because you don't got nothing going on for yourself. And this is who you voted for. Put in the chat where you work, or do you even have a job? Or, I mean, I'm sure, I know you're collecting public assistance just by the way you conduct yourself in the chat. Public assistance receivers, you have nothing going on for yourself. You can't find a job because you elected a moron. You know, somebody that's similar to you. That's who you elected. You are miserable. You have nothing going on with yourself. You elected a man that's out here degrading people. And let's get into Trump's approval rating. His approval rating is going to shit. Now, the Republicans that are educated, not you dumb ones in the chat, but the ones who are educated, they are jumping ship. They don't want to be associated with Donald Trump just simply for the controversy surrounding the children. Y'all even know what that means. Donald Trump, his approval rating is in the garbage. Like, people are jumping ship. Nobody likes Donald Trump. Donald Trump has a 26% approval rating. You idiots don't have jobs. You're broke. You have nothing going on for yourself, only to tell us, you know, how you love your Donald Trump, who ain't doing shit for you. You want to support a man who protects people that harm children. Yeah, you sick. Very sick.